This is the story of a boy who comes across a weird creature and befriends it. He is then pursued by a company that asks him to give up the creature. He, however, saves it from everyone and goes through a lot doing that. Let's see how he goes about it. Welcome to Monster Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2016 action monster film, Monster Trucks. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts and we see Jim Dowd driving to a drill site. He's a geological researcher for Terravex. As he reaches there, he's joined by Reese Tennyson, the CEO of Terravex, who gets there by helicopter. It's revealed that they just discovered water 2 miles below the surface. They decide to go further, because it is settled that there cannot be life down there. Their screen, however, tells something different, as they spot something moving and everyone is surprised to see that. Before they're able to get over their surprise, it becomes chaotic out there. We see pumps getting blown off, and the drill site then explodes. The next thing we see, 3 strange creatures appear on the ground, and the staff manages to capture 2 of them. These animals are captured by a man named Burke, who works for the company. The CEO is positive that Burke will track down the one that got away as well. He advises everyone to keep it discreet, because the Department of Wildlife can very much shut them down if they're caught being in possession of these peculiar creatures. Jim Dowd advises them to take a close look at the ones they've captured in order to be able to catch their missing partner. They then go on to lock the 2 animals in a container, and we see that the other one hides in Dowd's car. The car is now a wreck after the explosion, so they drag it away, as it's now useless. Then we see a boy named Tripp, who lives with his mother. He doesn't seem to be a fan of Terravex, as he thinks that they're ruining his hometown. So Tripp is not too thrilled about living there anymore. As his mother is about to leave, a man in a police vehicle arrives. He turns out to be his mother's boyfriend named Rick. Well, boys never like their mother's boyfriends, and the same is the case with Tripp. Tripp goes to work. He works at a junkyard, and as he gets there, we see Dowd's car being dragged by the owner of the junkyard, Mr. Weathers. Tripp gets to work, as he starts on a blue truck in which he is about to install an engine. He then sees his father being interviewed on TV. As he tries to focus, he hears a noise outside and right away goes out to check. Upon getting there, he sees a big hole in the tank of the car. The next day, when Tripp is on his way to school, he notices strange holes in the cars on the road. Those holes look exactly like the one he saw back at the junkyard. When he goes to the junkyard the next day, he notices strange noises yet again, and goes out to see what's out there. He spots a very unusual creature that has tentacles. To save himself from the creature, Tripp jumps into the cellar, but a bucket of oil rolls into the same cellar. The creature manages to get down to where Tripp hides and goes on to drink all the oil from the barrel. Tripp manages to trap it inside and right away calls the police. As soon as the authorities get there, they come inside to capture it, but miraculously, the creature is nowhere to be found. Rick, Tripp's mother's boyfriend, thinks that Tripp is just messing with them, and he goes on to say shit about his father. At school, when Tripp is hanging out with his friend and classmate Meredith, she starts bitching about their town being boring, and Terravex destroying what's left of it, and Tripp suddenly starts to take interest in biology after he's discovered an unusual creature. Meredith agrees to teach him biology. That evening, Tripp is adamant that he's going to catch the animal. The animal has tentacles like an octopus, but has the head of a beluga. The animal shows up and starts to drink oils from the barrels, without even noticing that Tripp is also present there. When Tripp tries to stop the animal from drinking oil, it lifts the boy up with his tentacles and screams at him like it wants to tell Tripp to leave him alone with these barrels of oil. Tripp starts to calm down and tries to figure out the behavior of the creature as he tries to interact with it. They end up becoming friends. Burke, on the other hand, has been looking for the creature, and he goes to the police station to ask whether they have tracked the animal or not. He asks them to give him some clues so that he can catch the creature himself. Rick goes on to tell him that they were called to a junkyard, but they found nothing of the sort. At the junkyard, Tripp decides that he's gonna give the creature up to the police, as it's for the better. He tries to take the creature out, but the creature is too smart to go out just like that and gets back into the garage. In the meantime, Rick again comes to the garage. He asks more questions about the creature to Tripp and goes on to search the place, but ends up finding nothing. They search everywhere while the creature hides in Tripp's car. Tripp sees the animal in his truck and goes on to distract Burke and takes him to the junkyard. The creature then pushes the truck outside the garage while Burke has been distracted by Tripp. Meredith, on the other hand, also arrives at the junkyard to teach Tripp biology. Tripp is in no situation to study right now, so he tries to get rid of Meredith. As they're talking, the animal makes a noise, and it catches the attention of everyone out there. Burke is about to get to the truck, but seeing that there's no other option but to run away with the creature, Tripp gets into the truck with Meredith and drives it away. The strange thing is that the truck doesn't even have an engine. Burke, along with his team, tries to chase Tripp, but Tripp gets into the woods with his truck. They then stop as they wait for Burke's team to pass. As they do that, Tripp starts to explain everything to Meredith. Meredith then takes Tripp to her father's cabin, and Tripp begins to modify the truck in a way it could be compatible with the creature. While he works at the truck, he also gets to know that the animal is really talented and has some incredible abilities. Tripp is now friends with the creature, and he has named it Creech. Tripp modifies the truck to give Creech more control as a makeshift engine. The truck acts as a monster truck for Creech to operate. Back at Terravex, Tennyson and Dowd find out that there's an interconnected underground ecosystem that has not been touched for thousands of years. Meanwhile, Tennyson is still concerned about the incident at the drilling rig, since similar experiments have revealed the existence of other creatures. He decides to protect the company's image by drilling poison into a hole leading to the underwater tunnels, and by sending hired mercenary Burke to kill their captured creatures. Tripp has been working to modify the truck, and he has done it. In the morning, we see that the animal now fits into the truck, and his tentacles are capable of producing a big amount of torque. Seeing Tripp modify the truck, Meredith is impressed, and goes on to accept that Tripp is not as dumb as she thought. Tripp takes the truck for a test drive, as he uses the creature as the engine of the truck. He gets back, and at night, he goes on to make some more modifications to make it more compatible with the abilities of the creature. Meredith expresses that she's skeptical about Creech being used as an engine, and that she's worried about the creature's well-being. But Tripp is sure that Creech is more than happy to be with him and not with the authorities, who are going to conduct tests on the creature and going to treat it as a subject. Tripp is still curious as to what happened at the drill site that night when the explosions were spotted. He decides to drive to his father to get some answers. When he stops at a gas station, Creech gets fed and starts to run frantically on the road. Creech then starts to lose control and ends up going into another lane. Tripp is unable to control the truck, and it disrupts all the traffic, making the situation really chaotic. Tripp then figures out that they're not supposed to feed him gas that contains chemicals. Dowd, on the other hand, makes experiments with the creatures and finds out that they drink gasoline, and they're really intelligent as well. He objects when Tennyson orders to kill the animals, as he finds that the creatures have significant intelligence and emotions, as well as a hive mind intelligence that allows both of the captured specimens to learn what was taught to one. Tripp goes to the construction site and finds his father. His father tells them that he's busy right now and goes on to invite him and Meredith to his house. They go to see him at his house, and as they start talking about the creature, both Meredith and Tripp say that they are not going to hand over Creech to the authorities. Confiding in his father, however, does not turn out to be a good idea, because he sells his son out to Burke. They ask Tripp to give them what he's been hiding. Burke demands Tripp give him the truck, and when he moves forward to attack Tripp, Creech starts the truck and saves Tripp as everybody gets out of the way to save their lives. The next thing we see, Tripp is inside the truck with Meredith and flee, crushing Tripp's father's house. As they get on the road, they run into Rick. Now they're being chased by both Rick and Burke. As they're being chased, they enter a small alley. Rick follows them, and Creech then uses his tentacles to cling to the wall. As they get rid of Rick, Burke gets there, and as he's about to get dangerously close to the truck, Creech uses his tentacles again and climbs onto a roof. They go near a railway track, and Tripp decides to use the train to get off the people chasing him. When they get close to the train, Creech jumps and gets to the other side of the moving train as Burke and his team get stuck on the other side. Rick then gives Burke a piece of his mind for putting Tripp's life in danger, but Burke says that he does not care. Meredith and Tripp, on the other hand, drive to her father's lake house. Tripp then decides that he's going to take the creature to its home. At Terravex, Dowd and Jim get into an argument as Dowd explains to him that they are harmless and very intelligent creatures, so it's very unethical. Tennyson, on the other hand, is adamant that he has to kill them in order to save his company. The animals have hive intelligence, so Creech gets the sense that something bad will happen to the other creatures. He heads to Terravex headquarters, where the other creatures are being held captive. When Meredith and Tripp wake up, the truck and Creech are gone. They then go on to track Creech and take a taxi to get to the town. Tripp and Meredith follow Creech. They see the truck outside Terravex and manage to break in. When they sneak in, they see 2 other containers, and in those containers, there are 2 other creatures just like Creech. Creech then appears to save his kin, but Burke and his team get there. They manage to capture Creech and arrest Meredith and Tripp. Both of them are then taken to Tennyson. Tennyson asks both of them to delete everything regarding these creatures and tells them not to reveal anything. When Tripp and Meredith are released, Jim decides to help Tripp and Meredith rescue the creatures. The group decides that they're going to acquire 2 more trucks. They modify the trucks for Creech's parents to control. Jim helps the group by stealing the Terravex truck on which the other 2 creatures are loaded. It is also revealed that the other 2 creatures are Creech's parents. At the dealership, the creatures take control of the modified trucks. Jim, Meredith, and Tripp, all 3 of them get into their respective trucks. The group makes their escape up the mountain leading to the tunnels. Terravex gives chase up the mountain, and the group escapes. On the way, Rick helps Tripp and the group escape from Burke, preventing Burke from ramming them off the road and later stealing a large truck to block the road to prevent further pursuit. After realizing the poison has been inserted, Tripp's team tries to stop it, but the road is blocked by a large fire. They are now trapped between the fire and Burke's team. As they realize that they're trapped, Rick appears with a haul truck and crushes Burke's fleet, also extinguishing the fire. Tripp gets into a head-on battle with Burke, who attempts to push him into the drilling hole, but ends when Tripp and Creech overturn Burke's truck, destroying the poison machine and killing Burke when his truck is thrown into the equipment. Creech saves Tripp from drowning before he and his parents depart back home. There are many other creatures just like them underwater as Tripp looks on. Terravex is then exposed by the group for the experimentation that was harming the creature's habitat. Tennyson is arrested for his crimes. Tripp and Rick develop on good terms and together rebuild a V8 engine for the truck, and Tripp and Meredith begin a relationship. The 2 get in a truck and drive away. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.